Hello, good morning, everybody, and welcome to episode 5 of the Premier League show on the James Johnstone Football Channel. Let's do the intro and then let's get right into it. Yes, hello, everybody, and I'll just put the results for last weekend up across the banner as well. So yeah, as advertised, this is the Premier League show, and we're going to talk about all of week 5 in the Premier League. So to kick it off, we had Wolves versus Liverpool, and Wolves, they got off to a cracking start. Wang opened the scoring for them with great work again by Pedro Neto, who, by the way, he's had a brilliant start of the season for Wolves. I mean, Wolves as a club haven't had the best start of the season, but Pedro Neto as a player has really come alive, and uh, he's really on form after his injury woes for the last couple of seasons. But Wolves, they should have had another. Neto again, he absolutely skins Joe Gomez, and Cunha just completely ruins it for Wolves. It was one of those when I watched it. It seemed to me that what Cunha did was harder than actually putting the ball in the back of the net. But Liverpool, they then equalised through Cody Hakpo and Salah. I don't know if it was a cross or a shot, but it come into Hakpo, who tucked it away. Darwin, he had a chance after him and Diaz. They played a nice move together, but Kilman and Sarr, they shut it out for Wolves. Robertson, he made it 2-1 to Liverpool, and it's a really lovely goal. It pains me to say, as I'm not, obviously I'm not a Liverpool fan, and I'm not a big fan of Andy Robertson as well. But yeah, it's awful play from Sarr in goal on his kick out, and Robertson starts it off, and then he links with Salah, and he finishes off really well. And the finish is class, to be fair. And then again, 3-1 Liverpool, and it goes down as a Hugo Bueno own goal, and it was kind of him. It was kind of him to do that for Liverpool, but Wolves, sadly, for however well they seem to play, they're just not clinical enough in front of goal. And in the Premier League, if you play with your dinner, you're going to get punished. You need to eat your dinner when you get it. On another day, they might have got a result, but yeah, they're not going anywhere when they continue to play like this and squander chances. On the day, Pedro Neto stood out for me for Wolves, and Semedo and Nori as well. They had some good touches out wide for them. They've got Luton next, and they should really fancy themselves in that game against Luton to get the points. They had another big game a couple of weeks back against Everton, didn't they? Which was deemed a 6-pointer in that bottom of the table chase, and I think this one against Luton should help them as well. Liverpool, Salah and Robertson, they stood out most for me on the day, and they've got West Ham at home next after a 3-1 win in Europe in midweek as well. After that, we have Newcastle versus Brentford, and I'll openly admit I only saw the match of the day coverage of this, so apologies. It was my birthday on Monday, and I went out on Saturday night, so I didn't watch the game live. But I'll give my summary of what I saw. But yeah, Brentford, they had an early cross, but Weiser didn't connect with the ball. Should have been 1-0 up there. Bruno, he has a header from a corner for Newcastle, but Flecken made a very good save. Callum Wilson, he thought he made it 1-0, but it was ruled out as a foul on Flecken, who was indecisive. Flecken, he fouled Anthony Gordon, and Newcastle got a penalty. I'm not sure if it is a penalty for me. I agree with what Alan Shearer said. I think Anthony Gordon initiates the contact and Flecken is trying to pull out. And it just leads to this further consistency and this further problem with refereeing. And every week that I've done this so far, there's always a contentious or a debatable sort of decision about the referees. But I think that you need to have Howard Webb, whoever, come out and explain what is the real, what is the threshold for these penalties, because you've set you've set the threshold at the Rashford one against Nottingham Forest being a penalty, but then you haven't given the one on Kai Havertz because you've said that Kai Havertz against Man United, sorry, he's initiated that contact, like he's wrapped his leg or he's left the leg out to then be fouled and deemed a penalty. Yeah, that's exactly what Gordon's done here to Flecken, and it's been given. So you've given two, but you've not given one, and it just baffles me. It just absolutely baffles me. But Wilson steps up, and he's never going to miss a penalty. Callum Wilson for me, and yeah, he tucks it in. So Newcastle after that, they think they've got another penalty after a Wemo handball, but it's not a penalty to me. I think that's a correct decision there. And then Wissa, he missed a header for Brentford over, and it was a good win for Newcastle to get back on track. I think they've got Sheffield United away next after a good draw against AC Milan, and Brentford, they can get back on track. They've got Everton at home, who I expect them to beat, and I think they'll beat Everton quite cleanly as well. After that, we had Bournemouth versus Chelsea, and Jackson hit the post after a great 1-2 with him and Mudryk. Sanchez, he made a very, very good save from Ratara for Bournemouth. Gallagher, he forced a good save from Neto. Sterling, he then hit a lovely free kick in the second half that crashed off the bar, and Levi Colwill, he thought he got the rebound, but he was offside. Jackson, he forced another good save from Neto again. Philip Billing for Bournemouth, he hit a free kick just wide. And then Solanke, he forced a very, very good save from Sanchez. And Palmer, he was then denied by another save by Neto. And both teams had really, really good chances to win this on the day, but they just didn't take them. For Bournemouth, Pedro Neto stood out for me. So did Max Aarons, and Justin Cliver, when he come on, was absolutely brilliant. But I've got to say, I've said it before and I'll say it again, Philip Billing, I think, is one of the most underrated midfielders in the Premier League. I thought Philip Billing had a really, really good game versus Chelsea. And then in terms of Chelsea, Sanchez, I thought he had a good game in between the sticks. And I thought Gusto and Sterling had a very good game for Chelsea as well. But after this, Bournemouth, they go away to Brighton. And Chelsea, they've got Aston Villa at home next. That could be a good game. That could go anywhere. After that, it was Everton versus Arsenal, and it was a tough but good win for the Arsenal. You know, we broke the hoodoo of Goodison Park and scored a lovely goal from Leandro Trossard. I'll discuss this in more detail on another video that I plan to do today, as well as the PSV game, so keep your eyes peeled for that one. But Everton, they've got Brentford next, and then Arsenal, obviously, we got the big one. We got the North London derby on Sunday. So the last game after that, that was the televised ones, was Nottingham Forest versus Burnley. And again, it was my birthday on Monday, so I wasn't watching this game live, but I'm going off the highlights, so apologies for that one. But Hudson-Odoi, he forced a very early save from Trafford for Burnley. And then Matt Turner, he made a brilliant save from Andoni. Andoni scored for Burnley, and Colosio, he made a great one, and it scooped into the air, but the finish by Amdoni was fantastic. It was a really, really good volley. And Hudson-Odoi on his debut for Nottingham Forest, oh my God, what an absolute perler of a curler he scored. It was an absolutely beautiful goal for Nottingham Forest. And Lyle Foster, he thinks he's made it 2-1, but it was pulled back for a handball on Sander Berge. And then Foster, he got a silly, silly red card for a elbow in the box, and it finished 1-1 on the day. But Burnley, they've got Man United next. They might fancy that, you know, because Man United at the moment are muck. They could fancy themselves against Man United, and Nottingham Forest, they go away to Man City, and I'd love nothing more than Nottingham Forest to get a result at Man City, but I just can't see it happening. After that, we had obviously the non-televised games. And the first one was Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace, and Ollie Watkins, he should have scored after a terrible error from Ward. Aston Villa, they thought they've gone 1-0 up after it was offside, but it was a lovely goal by Moussa Diaby. It was a beautiful takedown and finish from him. Regardless, Palace, they go 1-0 up. It's poor defending and then a slip from Martinez, and Edouard scored with ease, and he's had a really, really good start of the season. Edouard, he's been a very, very good player for Palace. Duran, he hit a lovely strike into Johnstone's arms. Eza, he nearly dinked Martinez, but it was stopped. And then Duran, when he did score, oh my word, you know, wild boy from Duran, he hit a lovely, lovely goal. It was an utter screamer. The ball from Dingy, or Luca Dean, when he started it off, he's chested it down, and he's just pelted it. He's absolutely pelted it into the goal. It's a really, really, really nice goal. Aston Villa, they made it 2-1. Douglas Luiz scored a penalty. It was a harsh one, I think, the penalty. I think the player got the ball first and then the player. And it was one of the few that actually went to the VAR monitor and it didn't get turned over. The ref actually backed his own decision. He didn't change. So that's something rare to see. Villa, they then made it 3-1. Bailey and the Palace collapsed at the end. It was a lovely ball over the top from Diaby into Bailey to slot it home. Palace, they have the first game of the week with a London derby versus Fulham today. And then Villa, like I said before, they've got Chelsea away, and they'll want to bounce back after they lost in Poland in midweek in Europe as well. After that, we had Fulham versus Luton. Chong, he had a good run, but shot straight into Bert Leno's arms. And Fulham, they head over at a corner from Tete. Colton Morris, he hits a volley just wide. Brown, he then hit the post from a header. It was another great chance for Luton. Bell had a chance in the second half to score, but he hit it straight across the goal into Leno as well. And then Fulham, they go 1-0 up with Carlos Vinicius, and it was poor from Luton's goalkeeper to push the ball straight back into where the striker was. And it was the best account for me that Luton have given themselves so far this season, but they're just still not good enough and got the quality to score to get it done. They've got another big game, like I said, down at the bottom of the table versus Wolves, and then Fulham, they've got the London derby, like I said earlier, against Palace. After that was Man United versus Brighton, and Rashford, he had some very, very quick feet, but it was saved well by stealing goal for Brighton. And the first goal, it's a really, really nice goal by Danny Welbeck. It's a good pass from Adingra, and Lallana let it go past him, and Danny Welbeck just finished it off. Rashford, he had another chance, which was cleared really well by Veltman. Hoyland, he believes he scored, but the ball's way over the line from Rashford. And Rashford, again, he cuts one wide after some good work. Second half, Rashford, he then hit the side netting, and Brighton then get their second goal. Gross tucks it away, but it's so easy. I mean, Lamptey, he sucks two defenders in, and then the defending from Martinez, they give this guy the nickname the Butcher. Um, to close Gross down here is absolutely awful from him. I, I don't want to really dig into like seem like I'm so anti Manchester United, but it's dreadful. If you watch it back, it's absolutely shocking. And Rasmus, he then comes off for Man United, and the fans started to boo Ten Hag, and then after that there was a Viva Ronaldo chant as well. And I did warn Man United, and I did say at the start of the season that sections of this fan base will start to lose patience with Ten Hag, and it's especially with some of the selections and some of his subs. But it's just his utter delusion as well in like pre or post games. Just some of the stuff he comes out with, it's an absolute joke. Like, to mention that the booing helped motivate them. No, just just no, just no. And the third, Lamptey again, he just has a whole section of the pitch to run into, and he plays it to Pedro, and he smashes it across, just like the previous two goals. Really, like, you've had two warnings that this is what Brighton are going to look to do, and they've done it again. They've got a third from it, and it just, yeah, it's just no prevention or no defending. Like, there's no awareness. You'd think that after two times that's happened, you'd be like, right, look, just shut it down out wide. Do not let him come through. But no, just nothing there at all. And Hannibal, he hit a lovely goal to make it through one, but I couldn't help but watch him the way he celebrated when it was 3-1, to think, like, what would a Roy Keane or something do if he was there in that situation? Because the celebration was a bit over the top when you're already 3-0 down. I get the emotion, the excitement, but just rein it in. Rein it in, mate. But Brighton, they had another chance with Matoma, and then they had another one with Ansu Fati as well. And it was a very, very, very poor performance from Man United. And this was against a Brighton side that made 6 changes, by the way. This wasn't like the full free flowing Brighton we see, because they had the European game coming up, so they made 6 changes. And United, further to this, they had a tough loss against Bayern Munich midweek as well, but they've got Burnley, and they might be confident in that one today, but we'll see what happens. Brighton, They had a tough loss in Athens midweek, but they can bounce back. They've got that game against Bournemouth, like I mentioned earlier. After that, it was Spurs versus Man United, and Basuma, he forced an early save from Fodringham. Song, he forces another save soon after. It was a nice chance from Sheffield United after some great work from Bogle into McAtee. Solomon, he then forced a save, and Fodringham was booked for handling outside the box, and Kulusevski, he had a nice chance from the set piece. Harmer, he then opened the scoring with a very nice finish off the post after the long throw from Sheffield United. And Johnson, he thought he scored the equaliser, but he was offside. Then there were 12 minutes of added time going up, and Richarlison, he got the equaliser from a big header. And then Kulusevski makes it 2-1, and it was a nice move to recover the ball and progress to get the winner. I thought it was a very, very nice move from Tottenham. Sheffield United get a set piece, and McBurney ends up sent off in the aftermath after complaining about his shirt being pulled by Johnson, according to him and the manager. And Spurs ended up seeing it out for the 2-1 win, and that's Spurs' best start to the season for 58 years, I believe they said. And Hickenbottom for Sheffield United, he was perplexed at full time. However, Spurs, when they got their winner, they switched off, and for me, you can't blame a ref. You can't blame a ref for your players switching off. That's on your players, and that's on you, I'm afraid. Sheffield United next, they've got a tough game. Well, I think it's at home to Newcastle, and then Spurs. Obviously, they've got the North London derby, like I mentioned earlier. And we don't want Spurs winning that. After that, the last one, West Ham versus Man City. And Man City, they peppered the goal from a corner, but Areola made some fantastic saves, especially the one from Rodri's header and then the other header from Ruben Diaz. Haaland, he then missed a sitter. He should have been scoring. West Ham, they nearly scored from a clever corner, but Agard, again, he couldn't get a connection on it. West Ham, they go 1-0 up, and it's a great, great goal from James Prowse, sorry. I mean, Kufal, it was a lovely cross, and it was met with a really, really good header. Haaland, he missed another sitter after amazing work from Doku. But then Doku, he gets the equaliser for Man City just 43 seconds, into the second half. It's lovely footwork and finish. And it was a nice gritty celebration from Doku as well. I've got to rate his gritty. It was a very good, very good one. Alvarez, he then hit a free kick into the post, and Areola made another great save from Haaland's acrobatic chance. Akanji, he made a big tackle that nearly went in as an own goal, but Edison, he made a huge save from the following corner of Kurt Zuma. Bernardo Silva then made it 2-1, and it's a lovely bit of play from Bernardo Silva and Alvarez. Alvarez's scooped pass was absolutely tremendous. And then Haaland, he has another one saved from Areola, but Areola had a really, really good game here for me, but Haaland, he finally gets his goal, and it was a trademark Haaland sort of goal and finish inside the box. And it was a good win for City considering how well West Ham played. I thought West Ham gave a really, really good account of themselves in this game. City next, they've got Forest at home. They should be confident about winning that one, and they go into it off the back of a nice win in the Champions League. And West Ham, they've got a tough game away to Liverpool, but off the back of a 3-1 win in Europe as well. I think if they go into this game with the same approach that they've taken into their games all season, especially the Chelsea one and especially this one against Man City, I don't think Liverpool would enjoy playing this one. I think West Ham could have a bloody good chance here against Liverpool today or Sunday when they play. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, so in terms of the awards for this week, Player of the Week, I'm going to give it to Julian Alvarez. I thought he had a fantastic game against West Ham, and he got 2 assists. And that scooped one, like I said, for Bernardo Silva was absolutely fantastic. It was a beautiful, beautiful ball. And then in terms of the goal of the week, I am going to give that one to Callum Hudson-Odoi. I thought that his goal on Monday Night Football against Burnley was absolutely superb. Like I mentioned earlier, it was an absolute perler of a curler. And when you've got your debut, when you score a goal like that, you can't not be happy about it. It was an absolutely brilliant goal. But just quick as well, I mentioned it on the last show about the awards, the Premier League monthly awards, and James Maddison, he obviously got the August Player of the Month, and yeah, it pains me to say it, but he does deserve it. He's been absolutely brilliant for Tottenham since the start of the season. And then the Manager of the Month, Big Ange. I did tell people, I did say about how this guy, he can come in here and do a good job. And again, he does deserve it. He's been brilliant for them. And then the Goal of the Month, this is who I wanted to win it, and I'm glad he did. So yeah, well done to Matoma from Brighton for that one. So there you have it. That is the week 5 Premier League show. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you don't already. And thank you to everybody that has joined recently. I know that I've done a few shows with the same old Arsenal, and I've also been on Albert JTV. Shout out to Albert. He's really helped in terms of putting me on his channel and shouting out my channel. So yeah, thank you very much, Albert, for that. And thanks as well to the same old Arsenal team. They've been brilliant as well since the start of the season, having me on. But yeah, thank you very much. Take care and enjoy the football this weekend. Much love.